Caitlin Clark, surrounded by a bunch of fools. Kelly, Amber, Stephanie White, you guys are clowns. And luckily for you, Caitlin Clark is part of your clown.
And now this situation, worse than before. This isn't ordinary criticism. It's become personal, chaotic, and embarrassing for the organization right now. Do you believe this front office is supporting or undermining Caitlin Clark? So here we go again. The same narrative keeps getting louder each time. And now, it isn't only fans voicing concerns. Now you have voices stepping forward publicly saying that what is unfolding around Caitlin Clark simply doesn't add up. And when a professional begins speaking that way, you realize something is seriously wrong behind the scenes.
Cross-golf calling Raven Johnson to let her know she's gonna get drafted, giggling like a bunch of little girls whose best friend just got to the playground. Ooh, I'm so happy you're here. Hee hee hee. Disgusting. Steph.
Let's not act like this appeared out of nowhere. This has been growing for quite some time. Every decision from Stephanie White and Amber Cox keeps bringing up the same question. What exactly is the direction? From the outside, it doesn't seem like a strategy. It feels like uncertainty mixed with pride. You have one of the biggest stars in the sport. Not just a solid player, not only an emerging name. We're talking about someone who drives attention, fans, and revenue to the team. And somehow the people in charge continue making choices that feel like they're working against that, not alongside it. And then comes this moment that pushes fans over the edge. The reaction from the front office after drafting Raven Johnson, smiling, laughing, acting like they just pulled off something brilliant. Meanwhile, fans are sitting there wondering if they just watched a mistake unfold in real time.
What'd she score? 5 points in the last 2 national championships game? Oh yeah, what a real winner. She was on a winning team. Is Nick Young a winner? Nick Young was on Golden State Warriors. Is Nick Young a winner? Do you get Nick Young because you want to bring a winning mentality to your franchise? No, you don't. The way they're raving about Ravens defense, you'd think this is Kawhi Leonard. You'd think this is Tony Allen, Bruce Bowen in the flesh, the way they talk about Raven Johnson.
Let's be real for a moment. This wasn't only about basketball anymore. It came off completely tone-deaf. There's history involved. There's tension already there. And instead of easing the situation, they added more fuel to it. Then they seemed shocked when people reacted. That's when the analyst stepped in and basically said enough. No sugarcoating, no gentle language, just direct criticism, calling it exactly what it is. Saying this appears like poor management. This looks like people trying to prove they are smarter than everyone else, instead of simply doing the obvious move. And the obvious move is building around your top player. It's not difficult, but instead we keep hearing the same phrases, flexibility, different options. It sounds good in interviews, but on the court it creates a big problem. Too many roles, not enough clarity.
You gotta do something, Herb Simon's son. Whoever in the Simon family is in control, you have to do something. Because this is getting ridiculous. Now we have Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Crossgolf calling Raven Johnson to let her know she's gonna get drafted, giggling like a bunch of little girls whose best friend just got to the playground. Ooh, I'm so happy you're here. Hee hee hee. Disgusting. Stephanie White talking about what a winner Raven Johnson is. A winner. Oh. What'd she score? 5 points in the last 2 national championships game? Oh yeah, what a real winner. She was on a winning team. Is Nick Young a winner? Nick Young was on Golden.
Nick Young played for the Golden State Warriors. Is Nick Young a winner? And then comes the biggest concern of all. The idea of removing the ball from Caitlin Clark's hands. That's where fans truly lost patience. Now it doesn't just seem like a poor decision. It feels like a failure to understand what makes your team function. You don't take your primary playmaker and turn her into something else just to fit your system. You design the system around her. That's how successful teams operate. That's fundamental basketball. But here it feels reversed. It feels like the system matters more than the player. And that's why people are calling it sabotage. Not because they dislike the coach, not because they dislike the team, but because it genuinely appears like the wrong direction. And let's talk about the lineup ideas being suggested. multiple guards, unusual rotations, and moments where your top players might not even share the floor together. That's not creativity. That's confusion.
In case you guys didn't know. Stephanie White, of course. Wouldn't be Stephanie White if we're not talking about Caitlin Clark off ball. CC playing off ball to Raven Johnson. Folks, and it's grossing me out thinking about this. We're going to see a lineup with Raven Johnson, Ty Harris, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark playing the four. Just wait for it. We're going to see it. We're going to see a lineup with Raven Johnson, Ty.
Fans aren't clueless. They recognize it. They sense it. And when they notice choices that don't align with common sense, they respond loudly. Now, add the contract situation into this. Large money being handed out and at the same time talk about resting players and shifting roles. That only brings more questions because now it's not just about decisions, it's about priorities. Who is this team actually built for? That's the question nobody seems to answer clearly, because from the outside, it doesn't appear centered around Caitlin Clark, and that's the part that makes no sense to fans. You have the player everyone is watching, and yet the moves don't reflect that importance. And when an analyst points this out publicly, it hits harder, because now it's not just frustrated fans online. Now it's someone breaking it down and saying, this doesn't add up. And once that idea gets out there, it spreads fast. People start connecting the dots. The comments, the interviews, the rotations, the draft picks. It all begins forming one picture. And that picture is not flattering for the front office. Instead of looking sharp, they look out of sync. Instead of appearing confident, they seem uncertain. And instead of building trust with fans, they're losing it. That's why the reaction is so intense right now. It's not just about one decision. It's about a pattern. And the worst part, it feels avoidable because all they had to do was keep things simple. Support your star. Build wisely. Don't overcomplicate it. And yet here we are. Now let's take this one step further, because this is where things begin to look even worse. It's just the choices. It's how those choices are being presented. Because every time Stephanie White speaks, it feels like she's describing a completely different team than the one fans are watching. You hear lines like, we want balance, we want versatility, and we want multiple ball handlers. And on paper, that sounds reasonable. No one is against having options. But the problem is simple. When you try to make everyone the same, you end up making nobody stand out. And that is the exact concern right now with Caitlin Clark. Fans are looking at this and thinking, why are you trying to limit the impact of your best player just to make the system appear balanced? Because let's be real, this is not a team that struggles to score when Caitlin Clark is in control. The issue has never been her ability to create. The issue has always been how the team supports that creation. So instead of fixing that, it feels like they're trying to change her role. And that's when frustration turns into anger, because now it feels like the front office, including Amber Cox, is overthinking something that doesn't need it. It's like they want to prove they are smarter than the obvious answer. But sports don't work like that. They don't reward clever ideas that fail. They reward results. And right now, the path to winning feels unclear. Let's also talk about the draft decision again because it keeps coming back. Raven Johnson being labeled as a winner sounds nice, but fans are not buying it without context. Being part of a winning team is not the same as being the reason a team wins. And when that player is now expected to take on a role that could affect Caitlin Clark's role, people are going to question it. That's normal. That's expected. But instead of addressing those concerns clearly, the response has been more talking, more explaining, and more uncertainty. And every time that happens, it only makes things worse. Now look at the bigger picture. Other teams across the league are making moves to improve. They are building around their stars, adding pieces that clearly fit, and keeping roles simple. Meanwhile, this team looks like it's experimenting. Experimenting is fine when you are rebuilding. But when you already have a player like Caitlin Clark, fans don't want experiments. They want progress. That's the difference. And this is why the expert reaction hits so hard, because it said out loud what many people were already thinking, that this situation doesn't feel organized. It doesn't feel focused. It feels chaotic. And once that word gets attached to a team, it's hard to shake. Let's also not ignore the locker room angle, because every decision affects chemistry. When roles are unclear, players get frustrated. When minutes change without reason, players notice. And when the system doesn't match the talent, everyone feels it. That's how small issues turn into big problems. And fans can already see where this could go. If things don't work early, the pressure is going to explode. Every loss will bring these same questions back. Every bad game will point right back to these decisions. That's the risk they are taking. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud, but everyone is thinking. If this situation keeps going the same way, it won't just hurt the team. It could push your biggest star into frustration, because at the end of the day, players want to win. They want to feel trusted. They want to play in systems that bring out their best, not hide it. And if that doesn't happen, things can change fast. Now, does that mean everything is already broken? No. There is still time to fix it. But the problem is, the longer this confusion continues, the harder it becomes to fix. Because once trust is lost, it's not easy to get it back. And right now, trust is exactly what is being tested. Fans don't trust the direction. They don't trust the decisions. And they definitely don't trust the explanations they are hearing. That's why the reaction is so loud. It's not just anger. It's concern. Concern that something great is being handled the wrong way. Concern that opportunity is being wasted. And concern that simple solutions are being ignored for complicated ones. And when an expert steps in and says it directly, it confirms those fears. Now all eyes are on the front office. What do they do next? Do they adjust? Do they simplify? Or do they double down and hope it works? Because if they choose the wrong path again, the backlash won't just stay online. It will grow, and it will follow the team all season. This situation is getting harder to ignore, and fans are clearly not buying what they're being told. If things don't change soon, the reaction will only get worse. Let me know what you think about all this. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.